Well, good morning. I have a little something. I usually don't cite from the Creation Research Society Quarterly because the articles are pretty long and technical, and but this one's really good for our general public thing here. Something fishy about radiocarbon dating Viking bones, and let's see here. I'll try and let you be able to read the article by freezing it, whatever. But what this is all about is an encampment of Viking aggression, really occupying a place, a region in northern England, the British Isles, Derbyshire. And they had some bones in a mass grave. Evidently, a bunch of them got sick. And so the grave was exhumed, and the Viking bones were dated with carbon-14. And lo and behold, the British historical archives that were by eyewitnesses who made the historical record actually disagrees with the carbon-14 date by quite a good deal of time, which is a little annoying. Let me see if I can, because then they're like, well, if carbon-14 is right, then these eyewitness historical accounts must be wrong, and they are so imbued and baptized in this whole idea that carbon-14 is as truthful as God. I mean, that it's gospel to them, that they just started saying, oh, the historical record must be wrong because carbon-14 can't be wrong. Well, to try and do a save, some people might say, well, Vikings ate mostly fish, and fish, marine creatures don't absorb as much carbon-14, so the Vikings wouldn't have absorbed as much carbon-14. Now, the problem with that whole thing is that the air is full of carbon-14, and all the plant life is too. But if they really had a whole lot, and the whole thing was depending on them getting a lot of carbon-14 in their solid food, in their meat food also, the air, the water, the plants, including the fish, everything's full of carbon-14, and you have exactly the amount of carbon-14 in you as the air and the water and the plants and the animals you eat, all of it, the whole biosphere. But even when you try to correct for that, you still have a problem with a conflict between the historical record and the supposedly godlike correctness of carbon-14. So anyway, I'm just doing this so you have a chance to read the whole article if you would like to. Okay, here we go. Sorry. Well, even when they correct for that, it's still off. And some really good science that was done was to compare Viking graves by comparing the bones of the Vikings and their carbon-14 with the clothes they were wearing, which was made from terrestrial plant material, or perhaps wool or whatever. It was all terrestrial. They certainly didn't make their clothes out of marine fish parts. So, and they corrected for that. This guy James Johnson wrote the article. Let's make sure and give him credit for that. So, that's kind of the story that I told you there. And it turns out, even when you correct for these things, there is a disconnect between the historical record, even analyzing the isotopes in Viking bones. About the time of Eric the Red was when Vikings really switched to a fish diet. We had the little warm-up time and the Little Ice Age during all of the times being considered here, which affected not only diet but Viking migrations and settlements, and into Greenland and Newfoundland and into northern England. which was called, their occupation was referred to as the Great Heathen Army in British history. It's certainly documented as it did happen, but unfortunately, belief, stolid faith in carbon-14 and its infallibility with its assumptions that it must make in order to be trusted, actually fails compared to the historical record, even at a time so recent as the Viking occupation of England. You keep thinking. God bless you, Dr. Jackson. Oh, let me read the limerick. It's pretty funny. It's called Seafood Diet Skewed Carbon-14 Dating of Viking Bones. 250 skeletons were found decaying C14 in the ground, but the bone dates were odd due to diets of cod, proving carbon dates aren't often sound. I like it. Bye-bye.